God damn it, Toei. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host, Connie, and today we are here with a couple episodes. So we're going with 1119 and on, and I'm not sure how many we're going to end up doing. It's going to be two or three. It's just going to depend on kind of what I feel like I'm up for as I continue to watch and everything. We'll see. So it's going to go to 1120 or 1121. But I feel more importantly, I need to bring something up here. So it was just announced the other day that after this month, One Piece will be taking a 6-month break. Toei has announced that they are taking 6 months off and that the anime will return in April of 2025. And that there's various reasons for this, apparently. Like, they're saying, like, I guess from what I've heard, that they want to give, like, the best content they can, but it's like it's already been, like, the best really possible. They're saying, like, work on the animation and stuff, but it's like, how do you go up from here in terms of animation? It's like, here, this is something I don't fucking get. Like current day One Piece has some of the best animation in all of anime. That's just fact. Maybe not the best, but the point is it's up there. And it's like you're going to take 6 months off because you think it needs to be improved at this point? Like, Garp's Galaxy Impact is better animated than pretty much everything I've seen in a long ass time. And that's just one moment in the series, based on what we've gotten lately. The Gear 5th stuff, and then the stuff like that was in episode 1015, those were like some of the best animation, period, that I have seen in anything, honestly. I don't understand the need to feel like they got to do better. It's like you're not letting people down with what you've already put out. But then there's like supposedly other reasons too. And one of these reasons from what I've been reading and seeing is to do with the pacing, and this worries me. This really actively worries me because I'm afraid that they're going to take this 6 months off while the manga continues and everything and use this as an excuse to cut down on the pacing. To make it, quote unquote, go by faster and stuff. So it's not as... The thing is, I can't even say slow paced because it's not slow paced. See, this is the problem. Anime fans are just so fucking picky and just not satisfied with anything that they've gaslit Toei into thinking that the pacing on the One Piece anime has been bad. They've gaslit Toei into thinking that they need to work on the pacing and that the One Piece anime has like been too slow or been dragging on or whatever else, when that's just not true. I've talked about this before quite a few times, in fact, but the pacing of One Piece does not need to be fixed because there's nothing to fix. The pacing of the One Piece anime is pretty much as perfect as you can get. Like, even if it is stretched out compared to the manga, that just goes to show you that the manga is rushed. And as someone who's read a portion of the manga, not all of it, obviously, but a notable enough portion, I can confirm it's rushed. It very much just flies by. And for a series like this that focuses on the journey and adventure of, traveling the world and finding the One Piece, that's not a good thing. Like, you shouldn't want it to go by faster. This is why I've never liked the idea of One Pace, the entire fan thing where they cut out not only just like, the filler arcs and stuff, but a lot of the content within episodes that they consider filler because it's not technically in the manga, or it's extended from where the manga portrays it, etc., etc. When those extensions and additions and stuff are actively helping the series, I don't get it. I do not understand. One of the big reasons why I've had not only zero interest in this The One Piece remake that's being worked on, but actually negative interest in it, is because they're making it a seasonal anime and cutting down on the pacing. And it bothers the shit out of me. Because now they're saying that Toei is going to do the same thing to the main series. That they're going to cut down on the pacing and stuff, and I'm just worried it's going to ruin the series. This is my favorite piece of media of all time. Specifically, the One Piece anime is my favorite piece of media of all time. Not just my favorite anime, not just my favorite TV show. Piece of media. As in, it trumps all other shows, all other anime, all other cartoons, all other movies, video games, any piece of media. And the pacing is part of the reason why I love it as much as I do. And I understand that's an unpopular opinion. I know this. I know that seemingly for some reason most people think otherwise. It's a very common complaint with this series. And it baffles me. It actively baffles me. I don't get it. And so I'm really fucking worried that when the series comes back next year, that we're going to have a situation where it's not as good. It's like they're already doing a remake. Why does Toei have to ruin this? Why do they have to ruin the main series when a remake is already being worked on? And it's not enough for them to do this like going forward. They're going back to old arcs and ruining them too. Because apparently Toei, during this break, during these 6 months off, are taking the Fishman Island arc, and seemingly not just Fishman Island, but Return to Shabandi as well. Basically, the entire start of the New World stuff, Return to Shabandi and Fishman Island, they're taking that and reanimating it. Like, with the modern animation style, which alone is like, okay, whatever. They've done that with different movies and stuff, or even flashbacks in newer episodes where they've gone back and reanimated old scenes and stuff. But they're doing it for the entire arc, and they're cutting it down. I think they're like halving the number of episodes or something like that. Either they're cutting the number of episodes in half or at least close to. And I'm just like, I'm not watching that. I am not watching that. I am not going to watch them ruin Fishman Island. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. I know Fishman Island is one of the least popular arcs in the series. I don't care. I like it. I think it's overhated for no reason. And on top of that, I just don't believe it needs to be fixed. Fixed in quotations, of course. I'm like genuinely upset about this shit. Like, again, having new animation and stuff, that's fine. But don't edit the content. Don't cut it down to like half the amount of episodes. You're cutting out so much of the content with that. And I'm seeing all these like articles or graphics on social media and stuff saying improved Fishman Island. It's not fucking improved. It's the opposite. They're ruining it. Like they're caving in to this gaslighting. The One Piece fandom has bullied Toei into ruining the series. Luckily, I know this isn't going to replace the original. Luckily, I know that the original Fishman Island episodes still exist, and they will remain as such, which is a positive. And it's like, I've even seen like someone ask on social media, it's like, oh, with this coming out, should I watch the original or the new one? And I recommended straight to them, watch the original. This is going to cut out so much, it's going to ruin the entire vibe. It won't mesh well if you go from post Marineford into this and then go back into Punk Hazard after. It will not blend well. It's like, this is not the right move. This is actively not the right move. Like, I'm legitimately pissed about this. I'm not kidding you. I'm not like, I'm not exaggerating or anything. Like, when I saw this news, like, I was so irritated. I'm not, and the thing is, my issue isn't even with them taking a 6-month break. I'm not like bitching because of 6 months off of One Piece. Although I'll talk about that in a minute because there is relevance to that. That's not my point of contention here. My point of contention is entirely with why they're doing it and how they're going to be handling things coming back from it. I'm scared. Because, like I said, One Piece is my favorite piece of media of all time. But if this goes as bad as I'm thinking it's going to, it's going to lose that spot. It's going to lose that title for me. And I'm afraid of that. Because it's like, while I'm always like willing to accept the idea of like any new show I watch or whatnot becoming my new favorite and everything, I'm always good with that. But the thing is, that wouldn't be the case here. It's not that a show would come along that would beat it out. It's that the show itself would be, One Piece itself would be dropping in quality, and that's why it would lose that spot. That's not how I would want it to lose the spot. And it's just, this series has been going on since the late 90s. And has gone on for over 1,100 episodes now. And they're suddenly out of nowhere choosing to just change how they do everything. Like they've taken a couple like breaks before where it's like, oh, well, month off or like a few weeks or something. But 6 months just to completely change the formula of how they make this series. And it's just like, oh my god, they can't be serious. And I've heard some people say like, oh, maybe they're taking this break in more of in reality because of Dragon Ball Daima coming out and they want to focus all their attention on that. It's not that. It's different parts of the company that are working on the two different shows. It's not that. Um, Not to mention, again, they've kind of said why they're taking this break. And it's just irritating the absolute shit out of me. I really, really hope I end up getting proven wrong. And I hope that when it comes back, the pacing isn't fucked over. And I really hope that it's able to continue to be my favorite piece of media of all time. Because I really don't want this fucked over for me. If One Piece is going to lose the top spot, I want it to be because another show is better, not because One Piece gets worse. But the signs aren't good. The signs are not good. It just. I think there were other reasons too. Let me see if I can find them just real quick. I'm not going to look forever, but I think I shared a post like in regards to it. So let me see if I can find it real quick. I have to scroll down on my Twitter. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this one person posted about it and kind of like bullet pointed everything that they were talking about. So what they said is better pacing for a smoother, more exciting watch, which again is what I am actively opposed to. Upgraded animation. Again, how do you do that? How do you upgrade the animation that's already like the top of the industry? And production quality. What does that even mean at this point? Fresh music and sound effects to boost the action and emotions. That I'm okay with. Like, fresh music and sound effects, I'm fine with. I don't think it's necessary because I think the music and sound effects they have are fine. I don't think it's like really necessary, but I'm okay with that. And apparently they're going to be getting a better time slot, which could lead to less censorship. That I'm also fine with. Because the One Piece anime does have a bit of censorship. Certain scenes are like, they have to be portrayed differently than in the manga. Especially in the early days. One of the biggest examples in the early days for One Piece censorship was Sanji. His backstory with Zeph. The way Zeph lost his leg in the anime was different than in the manga. And the live action actually portrayed it as it was in the manga, interestingly enough, the Netflix live action series. So the anime was just kind of behind. They also changed the way that Shanks like first interacted with Luffy after Luffy ate the devil fruit. Um, and how Shanks like I guess first found out about Luffy's stretching powers and saw them for the first time. More how Luffy found out about them, but how they were showcased for the first time. Because in the anime, like Shanks was like holding Luffy by his like ankles and shaking him up and down, and, like spit out the devil fruit kind of thing. But in like the manga and even again the live action, Luffy's walking away and Shanks like grabs his arm and it stretches naturally from that. So it's like, yeah, some of that, some of those changes, some of those censorship changes would be fixed. is the idea here. But again, I kind of thought that was already going to be a thing with the One Piece, the remake. So it's like, why is Toei having to do this? Though again, if that's not a big issue, I'm actually fine with that still. There's no problems I have with them doing that. I still have the main issue is still centered around the pacing issue with them fixing something that doesn't need fixing, and I'm really worried it's going to be rushed. Now, like I said, I only read the manga up to a certain point, the end of Alabasta. But it's like, funny enough, Alabasta's the only arc I think has a pacing issue in the anime. And the pacing issue with the anime is there is some filler content that just feels kind of random and out of place. And mind you, it's not bad. It's just it drags the arc a little bit during a notable point in it. And it just feels like it's thrown in just for the heck of it. Although it does give us more time with Ace, which is, lovely. That's like the one good thing that came from it. But that's the only pacing issue I have with like all of One Piece. Again, the anime. A lot of people like to cite arcs like Dressrosa and Wano just because they're long. And it's like, that's not an argument. Oh, these arcs are super long, so that means they have bad pacing. It's like, no. No, that's not how that works. The arcs are just long. Like, they're super fucking long in the manga, too. Yeah, they're longer in the anime, but again, that's because the anime is improving the pacing by drawing it out more, by allowing it to breathe and allowing it to really feel like it's taking everything in rather than just blowing past everything. And again, I don't know how the manga is quite like with Wano, but, I'm just saying. I had no issues with the pacing of Wano at all. I mean, maybe some parts of the raid felt like there was a lot going on, but that's more just there was a lot going on. That I'm sure is very true in the manga too. There's so much going on that yeah, you're going to not be like focusing on a certain battle for a long time. But that's going to happen in the manga too. So that's not an issue that you can say with the anime's pacing. That's just how the arc is written. Or that portion of the arc specifically. Again, the raid on Onigashima. But yeah, it's just like, I'm just so scared. And I'm sorry these pre-thoughts are so long, but I had to rant about this. Because it's like, again, this is my favorite piece of media of all time. And I don't want to see it ruined. And mind you, I want to make very clear here, I'm not saying that, like, them cutting the pacing drastically is going to, like, make it unwatchable. But it would probably bring it, like, it would probably bring it down a point or two. Which, in the grand scheme of things, will drop it notably within my ratings. Like, you'll have shows like Link Click and Carol and Tuesday and stuff just, like, zooming past it. But not on their merit, on One Piece losing that merit. Owl House, another one, for example. And it's like, again, I don't mind those shows being up there, but I'd rather it be on their merit. I don't want it to be because One Piece becomes less quality. I'm scared. I'm concerned. And I feel like this absolutely has to be because of the fandom gaslighting Toei into thinking they're doing a bad job or something. The fact that they think they need to improve on animation is insane. Yet, it makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense to me. But another thing of note as to why this is important is in terms of reactions on the channel. So I believe the last episode that's going to air is 1123, because there's going to be a special the week after that. Unless it's already happened, I don't know. Something like that. It's either 1122, 1123 is the last episode that's coming out, with the next one after that being a special thing, which I've already heard about, by the way, and I'm not interested in. Plus, I also wouldn't know, like, how to label it. I guess I would just label it as the special rather than an episode number. If I did react to it. But yeah, that's all that there's going to be until next year. And the one thing I'm hoping that we get from this, at least to make up for any pacing fuck ups that they do, I hope they at least give us a new opening when they return. If we're having 6 fucking months off, give us a new opening. Do not come back with the same opening. That would be, like, stupid. You're going to make us wait 6 months and you're not going to give us a new opening? That would be dumb. Like, I know that there's still stuff in this opening that hasn't been covered yet. I understand that. But I'm sorry, if you're going to make us wait 6 months, if you're going to be improving on, somehow improving on the animation and stuff, give us a new opening. That feels like something that would make sense at that point. So maybe there's at least that to look forward to. But yeah, so because of this, we will unfortunately have to take a break as well. Because we're a little behind, but we're not that behind. And because of this, we're not going to be able to react to One Piece, because there isn't going to be One Piece to react to for half of a year. So I've been contemplating kind of on what to do with that, because this came out of nowhere. It was unexpected, and it threw me for a loop. And because here's the thing, like, One Piece is not like a first impression series. It's not a donation reward series. It's basically a Connie's Choice series. It's something I just choose to react to because I like it. So do I replace it with another Connie's Choice series? Do I choose to replace it with something else? I don't know what to do, honestly. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know what to do. And I don't know if I'm going to know what to do. I have to figure it out, like, within the next, I don't know, week or two. But it's like I could have many ideas, and I just don't know what I would go with. Like, I could make, like, a wheel that has, like, a bunch of things in it, like, has some donation rewards in it, has some first impression stuff in it, has some My Choice stuff in it. I could do, like a multi-wheel kind of thing. That's an idea. I could bring in a different, like, long-running thing somehow if I found something for that. Since typically this slot is kind of the long-running slot for One Piece. I don't know. I'm going to think about it as we watch and react to what these episodes we do today. Maybe I'll know by the end of it, by the afterthoughts. Maybe I won't know until we get to the last episode of what we're going to get currently. I don't know. But this is insanity. And I don't know what to expect moving forward. I don't know how this is going to end up turning out for the anime. I don't have high hopes, but you never know, I guess. And I don't know, like, what to think going forward at this point and what to do in regards to replacing this. Like I said, I'll think about it as well during the reaction while I'm watching and reacting to this. Maybe I'll think of something like just randomly in my head while I'm watching. I don't know. We'll see. For now though, let's get on with this because these pre-thoughts have lasted over half an hour at this point. My recording timer at least says it's been like 30 minutes. So I apologize again for how long these pre-thoughts are, but I had to rant about this because it's, like I said, it scares me, it concerns me, and I'm just really worried for where this series is going. But yeah, let's get this going. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And we have gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and Poppy Playtime every Saturday. And don't forget to click that link in the description to follow it to today's reaction. I do redirect everything on the channel just due to copyright. And on top of that, don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel and the like button to help support. It means a lot, and I thank you so much for tuning in. That being said, let's get to today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. See, this is exactly why I'm worried. This is exactly the reason I'm concerned about them changing up the pacing formula and everything once this 6-month hiatus is over. Shit like this works because of how this anime is paced. Because of how long it's been since we first met Vivi and Cobra and Wapple, because of how everything has been set up through the format of this series being like, about the journey, about the adventure, and how long that has taken. This feels like a culmination of literal decades of setup to where this would not work if it hadn't taken this long. The fact that all of this had been set up for literal decades is the reason why it's so impactful. Like there were parts there where I was like speechless. I was so goddamn speechless because of that. I couldn't believe what was happening. I was blown the fuck away. And mind you, even if they do change the pacing, like, after this, I guess there is the aspect of where it doesn't, like, take away from all the pacing that led to this, and you still have these decades worth of setup, but it's just, like, this is definitely the reason why I have, like, negative interest in the remake. Because, like, with One Piece or this remake that's coming out, the fact that they're going to, like, rush it, it's like this stuff won't hit as hard. it won't be as impactful when you don't have as much time to take it all in. This is the exact, it's kind of the same argument that I have against binge watching stuff. Because think about it. My argument against binge watching, and I've talked about this in multiple reactions on this channel, but just to reiterate, is that I hate binge watching because it incentivizes you to, well, binge watch. The entire binge model that Netflix started, that all these streaming services have adopted, incentivizes you, obviously, to binge watch. That's the point. But when you rush through a series like this, and when everybody does so, the lasting effects of the series are non-existent. It has no staying power. Because everybody watches it like within a week, and then they move on to the next thing. They stop talking about it. It has no staying power because this entire model incentivizes rushing through a series and then moving on. And I hate it. Because having a week between episodes is so important for the longevity of a series. It allows viewers to not just watch it, but to absorb it, to take in the information, to think on it, to truly grasp everything that's happening and how it affects things week to week. It allows for a deeper appreciation of a show's themes, concepts, and just production. The writing, the direction, everything is heightened by having that time in between. And although, like, having a series release weekly is not the same as, like, elongating a series in terms of its pacing by adding stuff in and having, like, episodes recap and everything, it's not quite the same situation, of course. But the idea is still there. One Piece works so well because it takes a long time. Because the journey is stretched out to allow for everything to sink in, everything to fully be grasped. And that's why I also don't have a problem with all the recapping and everything. When you're watching episodes week to week, the recapping helps, like, really, like, it helps you really, like, hammer in the bits of information that you need to hammer in. It really gets you, like, understanding the gravity of certain situations, certain scenes, really helps you, like, grasp everything that much better. That's why I've never understood the arguments, like, against even just that part of things. Because it actively improves the series. And improves your ability to absorb the information and, like, fully grasp how and what is important and what, like, really matters. And it makes the scenes that are the payoff to those setups work that much more. These couple episodes here were some of One Piece's best. Because of how long it's been since we've had these setups begin. The Will of D was first mentioned at the end of Drum Island by Dr. Kureha. The same arc that had Wapol. The same arc where Vivi and Wapol's connection was stated. This is stuff that has been set up this entire time. For all of these years. We have had so long to watch it, to rewatch it, to think about it. And that is what makes these scenes hit so hard. Because it's been such a long time. We've known these characters, again, for like 2 decades. and seeing where this has gone, this payoff works because of how long it's been. It wouldn't work if it was like at the pace that people seem to want it to be. It would not hold the same gravitas, the same intense excitement. But let's actually talk about the episodes, because I ranted for 30 minutes in the pre-thoughts on just that. It's been like 8.5 minutes since we started these afterthoughts. I should probably just talk about the fucking episodes. So, Emu, like, has been obviously set up as, like, the king of the world, right? They've been showcased to be the highest figure in terms of power, in terms of status in this world. Higher than any of the elders, higher than Blackbeard, higher than Shanks. And yes, higher than Roger. They are a bigger force, a higher ranked force, more powerful more than likely. And for 100% certain, like higher up in the food chain, the proverbial food chain, than Roger ever could have hoped to be. And just that fact alone recontextualizes so much of this. Because the more we see and learn about Roger, and the more we see and learn about now the world government and now Emu, makes us see that although Roger like was a big force to a lot of people, in the grand scheme of things, he was a flea. Roger was nothing. Like, in the grand scheme of things, comparatively to the others, Roger was absolutely nothing. And that information, which is almost incomprehensible, combined with what we saw of Emu in these episodes, especially the first of these, 1119, actively makes Emu the single scariest character in this fucking series. Like, I'm watching this. I'm watching, like, 1119 and seeing everything go down with Emu and seeing even though it was enshrouded in shadow and everything, seeing them change form. And, like, seeing even just their reaction to finding out Lily was a D. And, like, seeing their reaction to Sabo coming in, the, like, confused anger in their eyes, because that's all we really see of them outside of a silhouette. I was legitimately scared. Like, actually scared. Like, I'm not saying, like, oh, a little bit freaky or a little bit intimidating or anything. No, like, actual fear. Fear that is a lot scarier than any kind of jump scare or whatnot, because it's a fear that is based heavily in concepts that exist in the real world. Concepts of an oppressive government being controlled and ruled by one person with unfathomable power to just do whatever the fuck they want without fear of retribution is probably one of the scariest, like, political ideas possible. Especially the aspect of them being like a shadow ruler. In this case, kind of literally. But the world not knowing of their existence and their mere existence being such a guarded secret that anyone even finding out about it would have to be executed in response, like Cobra was. Yeah, that's fucking terrifying. And again, the execution, and not the execution of Cobra, but the execution of the scenes and the character and all. I should specify that. Different words, well, same word, different meaning. Um, the execution of their character is so fucking scary as well. Because, like, characters enshrouded in shadows have been a thing in animation for a long time when you're trying to hide someone's identity. That's not a new concept, and that alone isn't scary. The red eyes, like the piercing red eyes, alone aren't scary. The voice alone isn't scary. It's the combination of all of these things with what we know of the lore that's scary. And adding on to that, with Emu being revealed to be one of the founding rulers who is literally immortal, and which basically makes them a god in the eyes of even the celestial dragons, though the only ones that know about them are the five elders. And I guess probably the Holy Knights, maybe? They seem like they're probably high enough ranking, but I'm not 100%. Because we know practically nothing about them right now. It's just the way that's all presented, which I'll get to that. But the fact that during all of this as well, Wapple managed to see all of this is insane. And the fact that Wapple is so fucking freaked out about it, that even he acknowledges that this is fucked up beyond reason, and even he doesn't want to tell Vivi about it, because he's actually trying to protect her and trying to, you know, keep her from finding out about her father's death, even though, like, she would find out about that anyway. It's like, especially since we know it's made public. It's, I don't, and the fact that she's with Big News Morgans, it's like, she's definitely gonna have heard about it. Wapple and Vivi are probably the two most in danger people right now. And then we have like hints at like the Gorosei's transformations as well. Those are in shadow too, though, because of course they are. And we find out at least a part of the Will of D. This is still, like, again, combined with Emu, because they're very clearly intertwined. They're the biggest mystery this series has. But we find out part of it here. So the D is in reference to the enemies of the government. We knew that. But it is very specifically the enemies of the original founders. And it's not specified whether they're descendants of those founders, whether they're just carrying on the legacy. It's not explained, like, why just someone being given the initial D in their name automatically makes them part of this. There's a lot that's still a mystery. But we're getting some information. We're getting something. Lucia is being targeted, and it's interesting that Emu didn't tell the Gorosei that Sabo was heading there. Because it's very clear they had to have known, and that's why they targeted it. All they told the Gorosei is, it's close. That doesn't really mean much, but because we know that Sabo would be a target due to having heard everything, it's close clearly means that that is where Sabo would be heading. And Imu knows that. Imu knows, like, oh, Sabo would head somewhere close by for refuge. And so it's like, because Leloucha is close to here, that's where Sabo is going. And so we have to destroy that. And they're using something called the Mother Flame, which apparently was created by Vegapunk. Or at least Vegapunk worked on. But the revolutionaries are hypothesizing that it's an ancient weapon, because Vegapunk wouldn't do something like that. Which, based on what we've seen of Vegapunk, yeah, that kind of tracks. But we also know Vegapunk is one under the thumb of the world government, and has been for all this time. So he could have been forced to do it. But also we know one of the satellites is basically a spy for the world government at this point. So she could have done it somehow. So the possibility exists, but they bring up the possibility that it's an ancient weapon as well. And I just don't know. This is a big one that I just don't know what's going on with. But it was brought up by Sabo that, like, when this was all happening, there was like this giant like thing above Leloucha, this giant like form, and I'm thinking, like, is it a ship or something that was like obscured by cloud cover or whatnot? Is that what was going on? Because, see, when that first happened, I thought it was Imu who actually did it. I thought, like, Imu had some kind of insane power, but no, we find out here that it's something that I guess Imu and the Gorosei are controlling. And they were doing this to test things out, interestingly enough. It was specifically said this was a test. So shit is definitely going down. Shit is about to go down. That's kind of what I'm getting from all of this. Vivi had been captured by CP0 and was, like, basically going to be kept as a pet by the Celestial Dragons. But because of Wapol freaking out and, like, just kind of, like, barreling through the walls, she managed to hitch a ride with him. And while on the ship, that's when they got... Well, we find out Wapol had a contact transponder snail, a Dendenmushi, to get in contact with Morgans, because he was feeding him information. Probably for money initially, but currently it's for protection. And Morgans is all about that. It's like anything for a story. If Wapol wants protection, he will grant it, if it's a good enough story. And considering it's a story that Wapol, like, his life is literally in danger for, yeah, I would say so. I would say that's big enough. And I do really like, though, just an interesting thing. Big News Morgans is very eccentric. He's very loud and everything. But during that call, he was entirely calm. Like, even after Wapol mentioned his life was in danger, like, Morgans didn't, like, really react in any special way to that. He didn't get excited. He didn't show any, like, heavy emotion. He just listened. He listened to Wapol, heard him out, and then once everything was said, he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send a ship. We're going to put it under the guise of, like, we're looking for a story. And while that's happening, you sneak aboard our ship. And then, once the call is over, that's when he freaks out. That's when he gets excited. He stayed professional on the line, and I think that's just really interesting. I was not expecting that. I actually was really surprised he didn't freak out while still on the phone with Wapol. So that one surprised me a little bit. But it shows that like he clearly was taking it seriously, and I think that he will stick to his word and protect them. Absolutely. Um, but yeah, like seeing Emu like turn into whatever that form was, seeing the Gorosei turn into that, and then seeing Emu use some kind of like devil's tail thing to kill Cobra and uh injure Sabo, it's like was insane. That was really insane. I was like I felt like I was barely breathing during that scene. And then it's like you see kind of how like things are going on after that fact, after everything goes down, and we again find out about why they attacked Leloucha, and just so much information. And then, of course, you have Don Quixote Miosgard's execution. And it's like they start talking about him. It's like a celestial dragon was executed today and everything. And I'm like, it's clicking in my head. And I'm like, oh no, they didn't. But they absolutely would. The interesting thing is, what does that mean? Like the other celestial dragons clearly were okay with it. They were all on about like, oh, he's a traitor and everything. He's not like one of us. But like in terms of the actual like ramifications of this, they killed a celestial dragon publicly and like officially. This was an official thing by this Saint Figurland Garland, the head of the Holy Knights, who is clearly a massive, like, high ranking official in the world government. Probably on the same level as the Gorosei. I would wager, at least. I'm wondering if it's because it was him who executed Mjolsgard. I wonder if that's why it was able to be done. Because I feel like otherwise this would be seen as impossible. No matter what Mjolsgard did. Because he's still a celestial dragon. He's still like at the top of the world, considered a descendant of the gods. It's like you can't just kill them. You can't do that. And that's why I was saying like the implication of Garland's status is there. That's why I was saying he probably knows all about Emu and everything too. Because if he is a high enough rank to be able to kill a celestial dragon, then he has to be a high enough rank to match the Gorosei. Because they're the only ones who I could see getting away with that. Besides Emu themselves, but... And if he's on the same level as them, he has to be someone who knows about Emu. It tracks, right? Also, I've heard of this guy before. I think I've seen a single screenshot of him before, like from the, or not screenshot, but like a manga scan. Um, I didn't know like what his entire thing was. I've heard the name Saint Figurland Garland, and I've seen like a manga scan of him like just kind of sitting there, but that's it. So I had no context for him. I didn't know what his role was. I just knew based on Saint that he was, a celestial dragon. But one of the reasons I heard about him was because in film Red, didn't they say something about that with Shanks? Wasn't Shanks referred to as a Figurland or something? Is this guy, like, related to Shanks in some way? I don't know. It's hard to say because the thing is, wasn't it implied in Film Red, which we know, while the story of Film Red isn't canon, a lot of the lore and stuff within it is? Isn't it implied that Shanks was found as a baby by Roger in the same way that Uta was found as a baby by him? So, how would it be known that Shanks would be a Figureland? Unless he was brought into that after Roger's death. Because if he was found as a baby by Roger, that means he would have been on the ship, on the Oro Jackson, with them the entire time. He would have been with the crew his entire life up until Roger's death. Well, up until he and Buggy stayed behind while they went to the last island and everything. But he then wouldn't... His past wouldn't be known, right? Unless there was somehow a way for them to have figured it out? I don't know. But yeah, I believe in Film Red it mentions something about that. I think the Gorosei like just mentioned his name being Figureland or something. And I guess it was probably when this scene first came out in the manga is when I saw that scan. Um, Again, I didn't know the context behind this guy at all. I didn't know his position or what he was doing at this point. But he definitely intrigues me. I'm very curious about what his character is and like what role he's going to play moving forward. What I definitely know for sure is that like the content of these episodes and the manga that is equivalent, of course, changes the game drastically. Vivi is a D. Nefertari D Vivi is confirmed. Cobra was a D. And it goes all the way back to Lily, one of the founders of the world. The only one who didn't remain to create the world government. But on her way back to Alabasta, something happened and she never arrived. And Emu seems particularly interested in this all. He had it's very clear that Emu was very, like, connected to Lily. I don't know if they were partners. I don't know if there was, like, something in regards to, a conspiracy with that. Like, I don't know if, like... I don't know what was going on, obviously. But the point is, Emu knew Lily, and it seems like it was on a very notable level. Based on their reaction to finding out Lily was even a D here. Which, again, it was clear that they had already kind of put that together, but Cobra confirming it for them, like, you saw their reaction to that. That was not some little thing. That was a big, important, confirming detail for them. That letter that was previously unknown about, did make it back to Alabasta, and that has been passed down amongst the Nefertari family these couple hundred years. Whatever is in that letter is exceptionally important. And it probably reveals quite a bit more than even what we've heard here. This is insanity. And I chose to end it with 2 episodes here because I felt like just, how do you continue after those? Those 2 episodes were like back to back, just insanity, and it's like, it's probably going to go back into other stuff after this. So I felt like that was a good breaking point for now. This is just such insane levels of lore and importance that, again, it's like, if this was done at the level of like One Piece, or what this remake is going to be like, or what I'm worried this main series is going to be like after it returns from this hiatus, if this entire series was done at that pacing, this would not have had this kind of reaction for me. It would not be as exceptionally shocking and intense and wild and etc. Other exclamative words. It's, again, because of how long this series has lasted that has made this work. And going off of that, I think I've come to kind of this decision on what I'm going to do once we're fully caught up to what One Piece is going to have before the break. Once we're at that point, and then there's not going to be any more One Piece until April, I think I know what I'm going to replace it with for now. Now, mind you, my mind could change. My mind could change by the time we get to next week, to the next episodes. But for now, this is what I'm thinking. So hear me out here. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, this is not a donation reward slot. It's not a first impression slot. It's the equivalent of a Connie's Choice slot, but it's also at the same time specifically a long-running slot. It's the only one we have because it's One Piece. It's specifically a slot that was geared towards One Piece being a long-running series that we don't really, that for the most part, we don't take these breaks on like we do with other shows. Simply because of how much I love this series and how this series is presented. So outside of like having a couple breaks here and there randomly to just, take a breather or get to something else, but that's pretty rare that happens. We're doing like a shit ton of content at a time with this normally. Just back to back to back and everything. And if I do absolutely decide to go with this plan I'm thinking of right now, it's not going to be quite the same for that. But I feel like it's going to be the closest thing, and at least for now, is going to be the thing that's going to work out the best. I think it's just a fun idea as well, because this is a series that I said I was going to react to, and then I took that back. Once it actually came out, I changed my mind because of a couple different reasons. One, just due to what I was already reacting to at the time and already was invested in, I didn't kind of want to put any investment into anything else that was going to be that, big and long and whatnot. But also, I had to wait for the dub, because it's a series. It's one of those shows that I can't watch in the Japanese. I just can't do it based on the voices that are in there. The only way I can hear these characters are with the English voices, the dubbed voice actors. And no, it's not Dragon Ball Daima, by the way. I think that the best choice at this point in time, at least to start out, because we have 6 months here. It's likely going to change But I think the idea, and I think a fun idea is, because I never actually got to this on my own time, like I was planning to. So we can still react to it like I originally planned. What I'm getting at, I know I'm just dancing around it and building up hype, is that, again, if nothing changes, if this is what I fully decide to do, we'll obviously talk about that when we get to the last episode of One Piece before the break. But the plan is to react to Bleach, the Thousand Year Blood War. I've seen all of Bleach prior to Thousand Year Blood War in the past. And I said we were going to react to Thousand Year Blood War when it came out, and then I changed my mind before it did, and we never reacted to it, but I also never watched it on my own time. So we can still react to it. And I think that it would be a pretty fun idea because it's another one of the big three. It's I think currently it's airing its third core of the arc. So there's quite a bit of content. There's two cores already to go through, so I won't catch up too quickly. And it's something that I definitely have been interested in. I know some of you were probably hoping for this thing or that thing. But like I said, I kind of didn't want to replace this anyway with like a first impression or a donation reward. Because it's like, I kind of want this slot to remain kind of what it is. And the problem is the long running aspect. Because just a Connie's choice, I could put a lot of stuff in there. But having this be Bleach the Thousand Year Blood War, it's like a long running series. It has a connection with One Piece already. And yeah, it's just, it feels right. It feels right. But again, I'm not going to confirm this yet. This is just what my idea, my plan is as of this moment. I might change my mind. Remember, I'm not going to make any full confirmation until, like, whenever the final one ends up being. I think it's either next week or the week after when we'll get to the final reaction of One Piece for now. But by that point, I'll have made a full final decision. But until then, this is what we're going for at the moment. That's my plan, but it's not 100% set in stone. I do partially as well want to hear what you guys think of that. Would you guys be like super interested in that? I just feel like it would be the most fitting option. Unless you guys like have any other ideas. I'm willing to hear anything out. But let me know. And let me know what you thought of these couple episodes of One Piece. Let me know your thoughts on what happened in this. And I mean, even if it's different from mine, please let me know your thoughts regarding the entire pacing thing and regarding the entire 6-month break and the changes they're making. Just be respectful about it. As long as you're being respectful, I'm fine with you having dissenting opinions. Just don't be an asshole. Be kind about it if you have a difference of opinion with it. Just let me know your thoughts. And again, let me know your thoughts just on the events of these 2 episodes, because holy fucking shit. Emu be fucking scary. But, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.